What is your beef? Why do you have such a problem with me?
Can we get the real Andy? I would prefer the real Andy.
Oh, let's get the real Max. I'll take off my mask when you take off your mask, brother.
Because who's your new favorite YouTuber, Ian, that wanted to be on the show with us?
The Madman. The Madman.
Mad Movie Man.
Let's bring on Max Movies because he scares the living shit out of me. Hold on.
Oh, wow.
Mad Max says, I think you should apologize. Right? I'm sitting here in a goddamn torn down pool house.
I don't even know who
the
you
pool house
are.
is torn apart. Okay, it's torn apart because I'm remodeling on my $70 webcam. Okay, I'm no better than you.
Movie Madness Entertainment.
Welcome. I just got out of work. I'm exhausted. I had a rough day. I was actually late logging off work. Please, if you're there, let me know in the chat. Now, there is some breaking rumor news that needs to be covered. And I really feel like I haven't even been doing good enough on Movie Talk to stress the other, the other opinions out there. Especially Star Wars and Lucasfilm. I know it's a running gag on this channel that I'm a hater, which I'm not. I'm embarrassed. This news, it's embarrassing to have Star Wars like this. Hey, LDG, hashtag free the net. I appreciate you being here. So the title of this is upcoming Star Wars movie delayed indefinitely. And then I added, but everything is fine. This is what I get a lot of pushback from my friends, and it's not fine. And it is embarrassing. And if this is accurate, it still may be rumor, but a lot of scoopers right now are going with something that keep in mind, it did first appear on Reddit. And then other scoopers started covering after that they contacted their sources. The reason I'm covering this right now is not because I want Star Wars to crash or I want it to fail. That's not the reason. Is because the part of the rumor that seems very plausible is that Stephen Knight, the writer of Peaky Blinders, may be leaving. It's not a dead horse, Degrassi, if it's news. We've had the Rey movie has already lost its writers before. If it happened again, with Lindelof, right? Lindelof left. It's not a dead horse if it's actually happening. If he was already fired, well, if he's leaving, that means it's going to delay the Rey movie. Do you know anything about that? Peaky Blinders was boss. I never really watched it. I've heard great things, and I like. It's not a dead. This is news to me. It's news to me. If it's another delay, then when we were covering Movie Talk, and some people were like, "Well, maybe they pushed up the Mandalorian movie because the Rey movie's canceled." I didn't go that far. I said, well, maybe they flipped it back and forth because, the Rey movie's not coming out. And they switched it to the Mandalorian movie, which Lucasfilm and Hollywood has been known to switch formats from streaming to movies consistently. Especially when there's issues. So, if I only knew how far they were, but are you conceding that Stephen Knight might be leaving? Because the reports are that he was hired to take over Lindelof, And then when he turned in his treatment after the strikes, that they had so many notes for him that he had to start fresh. And that his priority is now the Peaky Blinders movie. That's what the reports are saying. I will show you the proof. All right. The Gracia says, I also would listen. I would love to get, if you want, I would love to get you on a stream in the future or an interview, even if it's not a live stream, and then you could decide. I also wish people would understand how much all the creative changes at Lucasfilm and Marvel have to do with the fight on go between Bob Iger and the board directors. That's true. Oh, I gotta let the cat out so she could go to the restroom. Hold on. All right, sorry, my wife helped with getting the cat out. I didn't realize the door was shut on her. She was stuck in here. She's like, oh, okay. Hey, Nicotina, how's it going? This is an unscheduled stream, and honestly, for your channel too, you should be covering it. I mean, I know you do your due diligence, and you're skeptical of scoopers as well. But the reports are, and the reason I'm covering this specific one is not that I want Star Wars to be bad. I'm embarrassed by Star Wars. I'm embarrassed by the job Kathy Kennedy is doing. It's because there's rumors that Stephen Knight, who was help writing the treatment for the Rey movie, is no longer working on it, and that can. I'm not saying the Rey movie's canceled, but that can significantly delay the Rey movie again. I'm not going to be the one that's like, oh, it's canceled. No, it's not canceled. It's just that it's now trouble production. To be fair, Marvel's had its fair share too with the Blade movie. Yeah. But the only reason I give this a little more credibility than other scoops is because it seems plausible that Stephen Knight would leave again. And put his priority for the Peaky Blinders movie is what they're saying too. And it does seem also plausible, although it could be made up, that when he turned it in, there were so many notes from Lucasfilm that he'd have to start over, and then he put it on the back burner. Scoopers grift. I don't grift. I didn't say it was. See, you're. This is what's frustrating, Degrassi. You're fighting an argument that I'm not making. I am not saying it's never going to happen. I'm not saying the Rey movie's never going to happen. I'm saying that if this is accurate, it significantly delays the Rey movie. And that speculation that I just said last night, that I will believe it when I see it, when both the Rey movie, Mandalorian Season 4, and the Mandalorian movie all start filming at the same time, which now looks like I was proven right, is not probably going to happen if this is accurate. And I said I doubt that they're going to do a Mandalorian Season 4 and a movie shooting at the same time. And I speculated just last night that they may have switched it from a season to a movie. And I don't think you're getting both. Okay. The Rey movie is... Oh, you're saying Blade's in trouble again? I don't know. All right, so let me bring up the article. There's two articles. Yeah, the thing is, Nicotina, a lot of just fan speculation is that they made a surprise announcement The Mandalorian is going to be a movie to help some bad press for the Rey movie. Now, some like to be naive, stick their head in the sand and say that there was not bad press for the Rey movie with the director saying it's about time for a woman director. I don't have a problem with that. There was a lot of people that didn't like that type of marketing. Whether it's true that she's the first woman director for Star Wars in the theaters or not. Some people don't like that, and there was a lot of talk about it. And I'm not going to ignore that. I don't personally get offended. I would personally prefer if they would talk more about Star Wars and why Rey should have her own movie than the history of the director and that she's a woman and she's the first woman director and that it's going to be in the theaters. But which is absolutely ridiculous is if they let that statement go out while they are having issues with their writer. So if these two things coincided at the same time, where they're losing another writer for the Rey movie, but then they have the director promoting it's about time for a woman take over Star Wars at the same time, that is a failure of leadership. If it's accurate, if it happens at the same time, that's embarrassing. Those two things could have been happening at the same time. It could have been following through. Stephen Knight could have been moving on to do the Peaky Blinders movie and got too many notes on the Rey movie where they'd start from square one. It could have significantly delayed it, but then you have Charmin Obaid-Chinoy on CNN saying it's about time for a woman director when the screenwriter's having issues. That's embarrassing. There is bad press for the Rey movie, but I think Filoni is in charge. He's pushing forward with the Mandalorian content and the Ahsoka content in theaters. Nicotina, this is speculation. I don't need to be a scooper for my speculation. You could cover this. If you would cover, I'd be honored. This is an MME exclusive. Like I said last night, I highly doubt that they are going to film both the season and Mandalorian and a movie at the same time. I think it's either going to be one or the other. And I do feel personally that they may have switched it from a season to a movie to help with other projects that are delayed. And they do want Star Wars to be back in the theater for a certain time period. Okay. We could talk about all of the other movies and TV shows that happens to everyday crickets. Whataboutism. You don't like whataboutism, Degrassi? That's what you're doing now. What about all the other things? Yes, I say consistently that this stuff happens in Hollywood. The reason it gets covered more often now is these big movie universes that they're selling to their consumers, having conventions for, announcing things just to get press when they're not ready to be announced. And that is a failure. Okay. So what about all the other things that fall through? You're right. What about DC? What about all this other stuff? You're right. Lots of things fall through. You're doing whataboutism. Okay. Yeah, they fell through too. All right, so here's from the Best Spin Bulletin. Icons. It's news, Degrassi. Why am I beating a dead horse when it's news? And if it wins, it's okay. Let me bring. Why am I beating a dead horse when it's news? It's not true if Disney debunks it. I cover rumors too. You could still not believe it. The reason I give this more credibility than most rumors is it's I know the difference, Zeno. Thank you so much. Is because it seems like there's issues with the writer leaving, which would be plausible as to the delay and why they switch Mandalorian from a series to a movie. It just got debunked a couple minutes ago. Well, send me the link on Twitter. Let me see. I'm checking the DM groups here. Someone else sent me stuff about this already. All right, let me just bring up the article. If you could send me a link on Twitter before I'm not going to be live. I'm actually extremely exhausted. Didn't sleep well last night, but I wanted to cover this while it's fresh. I'm not even on camera. All right, let me bring up the Bespin. I don't see where it just got debunked. The cosmic one. Dom was right. I knew it. The Twitter account is Star Wars stuff. Clickbait, clickbait. I forgot to put the question mark on there. I put the name of the article, Zeno. I put the article in there, and then I added, but everything is fine. I care. I want Star Wars to be good. All right. So Daisy Ridley Untitled Ray movie, Star Wars movie, reportedly delayed indefinitely. Steve at Night possibly exiting. Then they say, according to a new report on Weird World of Real, outlet I followed for a long time and read almost daily, the Daisy Ridley led flick has suffered an indefinite delay. Real isn't known for breaking stories on blockbuster franchises such as Star Wars and Marvel, so the name might not be familiar for my readers, but they got a lot right with smaller movies, which is why I follow their work. For that reason, this report shouldn't be written off, or just because an outlet is reliable in one field doesn't mean they are in another. In their article, World of Real shares that they aren't keen on looking for information on Star Wars, but that the well-informed source have shared details worth sharing. World of Real are reporting that Disney have internally delayed the Rey Skywalker film indefinitely, which is why they've pivoted to The Mandalorian Grogu being the next theatrical release feature film and why the flick was announced just last week. Real adds that due to creative issues going on behind the scenes, which is consistent, I don't know. You're going back to sleep? I don't know if that's accurate. I never heard of them before. I've heard of Bespin Bulletin before. All right. Let me bring this up. Let me keep going here. So far nothing seems like too outlandish. I mean, someone could make this up, I'll admit that. But creative differences, the writer leaving, that all seems extremely plausible. It's not, this isn't the type of rumor like that you get from Doomcock where, oh, they're in Civil War, Lucasfilm. No, this is like Knight turned in the script after the writer's strike. They gave him too many notes where you have to start fresh, and his priority is his Peaky Blinders movie. That's like not crazy. It also could be made up. You know? So let me finish reading the article, and then we'll get to final thoughts on this topic. Lucasfilm and the film's current writer, Stephen Knight, Peaky Blinders are butting heads. Knight has reportedly submitted a draft, and Lucasfilm did not like what was turned in, giving Knight so many notes that he would have essentially have to start from scratch on a new draft. The outlet goes on to say that Stephen Knight's frustration with the studio has contributed to grow and is seemingly at boiling point as the writer might not be staying on board the Rey film. World of Real adds that Knight has put Star Wars on the back burner as he's focusing his efforts on completing the script for his Peaky Blinders movie, which is due. Now, this is also extremely plausible, but could be guessed too, because of the popularity of Oppenheimer and that actor who's in Peaky Blinders. What's that actor's name? The star of Oppenheimer. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Anyway, he's the star of Peaky Blinders as well. So if you have a star that's getting recognition, you're going to look at any IP that you have with them. Peaky Blinders is his most notable project outside of Oppenheimer, I believe. So that's also extremely plausible, which is due to begin filming this summer, was due last fall after suffering a delay in development and production due to WGA and SAG-AFTRA. To be completely devil's advocate, they could have just, whoever's sourcing this, World of Real, could have just realized that Peaky Blinders was delayed, and so that probably pushed everything back. and made up all this other stuff. Killian Murphy, yes. Yes. Jacob says fake L and fake news. You're giving me an L. Okay. That's fine. I'll put a question mark on the title. The title of the stream is actually reading the article that was titled this way. So I'm fine. Last week, also Making Star Wars. That's also another outlet that lots of people actually put a lot of stock into. Let me see what it says. Reported that according to a source, Stephen Knight had yet to complete a draft of the Daisy Ridley-led feature and added, I'm not saying he's going to write it or not. I don't know. Shared that the scheduling and stars did not align for Knight and Lucasfilm. So this is another source. That's Brian Ward, I believe. MakingStarWars.com. Now, seeing that there's a second source cited here, and including one I know of, that's that Lucasfilm actually has got pretty angry with for leaking stuff. I'm thinking that Stephen Knight is not going to be continuing with this project, and that will probably delay this project. I'm not saying it's canceled, but development on the untitled Rey movie began over 2 years ago with Damon Lindelof of Watchmen and Justin Brett Gibson Into the Badlands running the project. Lindelof assembled a writer's room for the project, was envisioned as a standalone film. Okay, let me see what else is here, and because they're talking about Snyder from the Hot Mic. That's with Roca. In March of 2023, Lindelof and Britt Gibson exited the project and were immediately replaced by Stephen Knight, according to Jeff Snyder, who broke that Lindelof was writing a Star Wars movie and was first to break that he exited the project. Lindelof's scripts weren't good enough, and that Lucasfilm had no intention of working things out with the Lindelof and Britt Gibson due to the quality of the script. Snyder added that he'd heard of a friction between the two writers and Lucasfilm president Kathy Kennedy and the film's director Charmin Obaid-Chinoy. Okay, I don't think I'm going to go on further. There's enough here for me to think that this writer is more than likely going to leave. I will take the L if he stays on and it goes into production. I would say I believe like over 50% that this is going to at least get delayed, and there's going to be another Star Wars project first, which I actually think is a good thing. Even if they make the Rey movie, I'd like to see something else in theaters first between the Rise of Skywalker and Rey movie. I think it's better. Degrassi says, I don't care if they make the movie or not. If they do, I'll go see it. I'm more interested in Max being wrong. IOTC members group contracts start expiring May. Anthony, there's discrepancies of what you're saying and what these articles are saying. They're saying he turned it in and they had so many notes that he had kind of had to start from scratch, and that his priority is the Peaky Blinders movie. Probably also because Cillian Murphy, that it was delayed due to the strike and the popularity of Cillian Murphy. So that's my thoughts. If there were friction, he would have been shown the door. Well, we don't know. Just give me your final thoughts. Do you think that the Rey movie is going to be delivered as originally intended, the release date? Do you think there's any credibility to these rumors in Stephen Knight leaving or having issues with the script and creative differences? These all could be guesses, but I doubt, for one thing for sure, with all this, I doubt that there is going to be a Rey, Mandalorian, Season 4, and Mandalorian movie all starting filming at the same time and then all keeping the same release schedule. I doubt it. If they were starting from scratch, they didn't throw a lot more than a script out. Production assets are being assembled. Well, couldn't they still have locations and all that sit down, but the scripts be rewritten? I don't know. They said basically. There's a lot of wiggle room in the way the article was written, I'll admit too. Basically starting from scratch. That doesn't mean locations and everything would have to be changed. It could. It could. There's some type of Star Wars anniversary coming up that they're going to want to meet. You know? That's probably why all these changes are. They want some type of film to be there for a Star Wars anniversary. You think they might be filming in the UK? When? I'm sure lots of these productions are filming in other regions because, yeah, you know what? The strikes were over. But can I be real with you? I doubt Hollywood is going to greenlight movies with extras in the States when they could film in other regions of the world where they have different sets of roles except for their main actors. So I do not see a lot of US filmed projects with background actors getting a lot of work. I think they are all going to go to the UK, Australia, all these other countries to film. And then they'll just keep their main actors and all the extras will be from other regions. Hey, Taladia. Just like with DC, Disney is going for 2 movies, 2 series a year with Marvel and Star Wars. Yeah. You think they're going to keep that for Star Wars? They don't need actors anymore. One thing I do like about James Gunn is that when the script is ready, they will start shooting with that director. That's the plan for now. We'll see if he keeps that. Because right now, Jacob, he's doing that for his own projects. But what about ones that someone else is directing and writing? Keep in mind, he's writing and directing both Peacemaker and Superman Legacy. What happens when he gets someone else to write and direct? He might have a lot of notes for them where they might not be able to start production as intended. And that could be a stumbling block for him. I wish him the best. I'm not rooting against him. But you don't know how much he's bitten off. Has he bitten off more than he could chew? I don't know. I would still like to see what happens, for instance, with him and Muschietti. I think that's like a Kathy Kennedy announcement. I don't think Muschietti is still going to direct Batman the Brave and the Bold. I doubt it. If he still does, I'll applaud it, and I would love to see him get the shot to do it. But I doubt it. Alfred Hitchcock should be directing. Okay, we'll see you. All right. I think that's where I'll end it. I'll be back with a live stream tonight. I wanted to cover this while it's breaking. It is still a rumor. I covered someone else's article. That's where the title came from. But if you want me to put a question mark, I'll put a question mark. Okay. If he doesn't, then WBD owes him another. What do you mean owes him? Well, he might be under contract, I guess. Yeah, they don't have to greenlight the project, though. He could just have a contract for a movie that they never greenlight. Isn't that possible too, Degrassi? That's how it goes. Yeah. Maybe we should end exactly at 30 minutes. I am going to drop that. I'm exhausted. I got to go talk to my wife, get ready for the live stream later. Let me see here. If you don't do a movie for our company, we'll give you another one. They don't have to give him one just because he's contracted for one. They could just never fulfill the contract. Oh, that's in his contract? That's a great contract. I don't know. Well, he's got the he probably worked it together with his It TV series. What is it? Welcome to Derry or something? Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, Claudia. Okay. I still have to head to the post office. Everything is fine. Nothing to see here. Play or pay. And they might be willing to just pay him to, but he's doing other Warner Brothers projects. So they might move it to something there. All right. Let me end it here. Have a good one. Tell me your thoughts in the comments section. I'd love to read it on this.